You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today, we're breaking down the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer.
Man, we back at it.
We back. Peacemaker Season 2 coming in August. It's going to be the third entity in the James Gunn's new DC universe.
Okay.
We had Creature Commandos back in December. We're getting Superman, the first movie in July. And then now we're getting Peacemaker Season 2, which is also going to serve as a reboot for Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Which I think he's going to handle that very well. There's been a lot of ideas like, how is he going to do this? But he's always said that, like, this part is canon, this part isn't. But, hey, I'm excited to see James Gunn work.
I'm excited, too. And I think it's his explanation, I think, is what's going to happen is be like, okay, these characters are going over to this timeline. And they're going to essentially say that, okay, this is a new universe, but everything like the Suicide Squad events and stuff happened in our universe as well as the DCEU's universe. It's just when we saw it, we saw the DCEU version. I think that's going to be the explanation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Essentially, because it is serving as that soft reboot character to see, which also hopefully would mean that Margot Robbie will be our Harley Quinn in this universe, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I think she's probably done, but man,
that would be
she's
awesome.
awesome.
She's amazing. All right, so the scene opens up with we see Peacemaker and Leota, which is I should say Viola Davis, but Amanda Waller's daughter, entering the scene.
I forgot that.
Together, and then Peacemaker is going into this room being interviewed by Maxwell Lord, played by Sean Gunn, who also plays G.I. Robot and who also plays Weasel, and probably plays another character I assume in DCU.
Hey, that's what happens when you know people.
Hey man, if I'm ever as big as James Gunn, I'm casting you in everything. So
I'm in the entire movie.
You're in everything.
I'm in it.
So James Gunn, dude, Sean
I appreciate that.
He's blessed. Anyway,
I imagine not to say he isn't super talented.
No,
he's really good.
he is super talented. He's great in his roles, but it's just funny.
That's awesome.
It's just
dude.
funny
I love
him
that.
cast his brother. But anyway, he's Maxwell Lord, recruiting more of his superhero team, as we see in this trailer, which I was shocked to see them in this trailer.
I know.
We have
dude.
Guy Gardner,
Guy
Green
Gardner.
Lantern, and Hawk Girl, who we'll see in July in Superman.
Yeah.
Along with, I'm assuming Mr. Terrific is on this team as well.
Okay.
Working for Maxwell Lord, kind of his, I don't know if it's going to be like a Justice Society situation.
Yeah. All right.
What the situation is, or if they work for this. And we saw also see Argus in this trailer and all that kind of good stuff. But they're interviewing Peacemaker, I guess, for a role on her team, and Peacemaker's talking, and they think they flipped the mic off. They're just talking bad about him.
Classic James Gunn humor.
Classic James Gunn humor. And that's my only fear is will James Gunn's humor being everything in the DCU.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in Superman, it should be absent.
Yeah, I don't
you know?
think so. I think it's not going to be the Superman. I think Guy Gardner occasionally, because he's not going to have a huge role in the movie.
Right.
But from everything that we see, I think the theme is going to be like just very mature.
I hope so. So we get that scene of him applying, and they say he sucks, and he's like, "Oh, I hate my life," and and he moves on. He fails out of that interview process because in his mind he's the greatest superhero ever, even though he's not. So we get our previews of the previous cast of Peacemaker coming in as we see them. We get Diebeard, we got Vigilante, and then we got Harcourt struggling with her extreme masculinity, which I thought was interesting.
Funny. Yeah, you struggle with toxic masculinity,
and she's like, "What?
From what?"
Which
I was not expecting to see her.
Was super fun, but Harcourt. Awesome. I mean, she's
so
just
cool.
fighting. She's a beast in this trailer,
Yeah. Which
they made her look different. And I'm just, it's going to be cool because all of these characters, it's like a reboot. So it's kind of cool to see them in this new light and new way for this show and see how it changes. Then we see the first live action look at Rick Flag Sr. We saw him, of course, in Creature Commandos in animation, but now we're going to see him in live action.
He looks so cool.
In Peacemaker Season 2, wanting revenge for his son is going to be a huge plot point from what I hear with this show.
Okay.
So that's going to be interesting. He's working for Argus. He's working for Amanda Waller. So my question is, if he's working for Waller, did Waller put the hit on Peacemaker? She's that kind of person.
Also, what happened to his son? I'm forgetting here.
Peacemaker stabbed him in the heart.
In the first,
because he was trying to get that intel disc for Waller.
That's
which is
right.
also interesting.
That's right.
So technically, it was Waller's fault in the first place. So we'll see when Rick Flag Sr. finds that out.
Okay.
How that'll work.
We think he's gonna get killed off.
Who?
What's his face?
Rick Flag.
Yeah,
Sr.?
Rick Flag.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think he'll.
Maybe
get
he has
killed
a
off.
change of heart.
I think he will. I think he will once he realizes the
common enemy.
Right. So, they both are against Amanda Waller, and that will probably be explored in Waller's own show. She's going to get an animated show as well.
That's wild.
All right. So then we also get a couple of. I mean, again, this is a teaser trailer, so it doesn't show us a whole lot. It just we see them working together again as a team. My only question is, what is going to be the conflict this season besides the Rick Flag Senior plot?
Yeah, because obviously that's just gonna be pretty small in comparison.
Right. We see this one really weird blaze of fire with a Native American looking person in the middle of it. So I'm curious about that.
Know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
Is that kind of look like what's that dude from Marvel? Yondu.
The what?
Yondu. That
Yondu?
actor. It kind of
Michael Rooker.
It kind of looks like Michael Rooker.
Well, Michael Rooker was already in the DCU, and
that's what I'm
Suicide Squad died.
But that guy's Indian,
Hmm.
so maybe if we see later, like we see some worlds collide, multiverse stuff.
True.
Maybe Michael Rooker is a Native American. That's what it looked like in the trailer show.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like there's like something spirit, like some ancestral stuff in the air. He's by a fire.
Right.
I don't know.
And then
That was a very odd scene.
that was just really, it was just in there.
It was just in
it
there.
didn't really fit with the rest of the trailer. So I don't know. We'll see. And then the next thing is we see the basement. Looks like his dad's basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was, what was his dad's villain name? I forgot. Like
I can't
something.
remember.
Horrible guy.
Oh, he's a terrible person.
Terrible person. Anyway, and we see his like layer, and what we're really getting from this show is it's gonna be a multiverse show, which I think is fascinating.
Which I don't think he necessarily wanted to do, but I feel like this is the only way to bridge the gap.
Between
into
the
the
DCU to DCU.
You know?
Yeah, I agree.
kind of put in rest of that.
I agree, because
he's the one who is over it. So.
And we see the two different Peacemakers, the DCEU Peacemaker, and then now the DCU Peacemaker. In my personal opinion, the easiest way to have fixed it was to be cancel Peacemaker completely.
I know.
Would have been the easiest way.
Then again, I feel like this is his passion project. At the same time, he kind of gets to do whatever he wants for the show.
True.
This is James Gunn at James Gunn.
Yeah, that's the thing, is he's going to serve like, okay, he likes all these characters, so he's bringing them back. Suicide Squad, he did, so he's going to keep that. Rest of it, no.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, the show ends, DCEU one kills the DCU one just because we've known to love this version of John Cena's character.
Right.
And then goes into that world and pretends to be that Peacemaker or
I agree.
Whatever.
But my thing is what is Peacemaker's role going to be in the DCU future?
I know.
Like,
not
what's
always
his
comic
role?
relief.
Yeah.
But like John Cena's like, he's a good actor and he does kind of bring that emotional depth too with his character that it does surprise me. So, and I love Vigilante too.
Vigilante's so funny.
Just straight comic relief, dude.
Yeah.
He is hilarious. I love his style of humor.
Yeah, so we'll see what the show brings in August. I think it is really, really curious and how we're going to get it and how it's going to explanation, because it's a season 2, but it's also new in DCU. And I mean, I have a lot of faith in James Gunn, what he's doing. And I think he was dealt a bad hand originally, with what the previous thing got. So he's having to fix some messes. So, and I think he'll do it. I think 10 years down the road, DC will be more popular than Marvel for once again.
Exactly.
So we'll see.
Superman and Batman, everybody
We'll be
going
back on top, so we'll see with that.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode. And as always, if you liked it, please let us know by giving us a download and a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. If you guys want early access to all of our episodes and exclusive access to fun episodes and additional movie reviews, feel free to subscribe to our membership Heroes HQ. We also have a feature on our episodes where you can send us a text message by following the link at the bottom of our episodes. Then finally, feel free to also check out our YouTube channel and our Instagram at Heroes in the Moment.
And we just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 2000.